Hello and welcome to Reddit Tell All. Today we are going to be looking at r/relationship advice. If you do like this video, don't forget to give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and with that out of the way, let's get on with the story. My boyfriend is freaking out about the baby in the apartment below mine. I, 23 female, live in an apartment building on the middle floor, so there's someone under and above me. I don't really mind the noise, I just tune it out. But about maybe a year ago, the couple living below me had a baby. Now, I think it's common knowledge that babies are loud. They cry, they scream, and the parents can't do much about it. I just kind of deal with it. However, my boyfriend, 24 male, isn't quite as accepting. We've been together for about 10 months and he comes over to my place most nights, even though he has an apartment of his own and I have 2 roommates. I can only assume that the baby's room is under mine because we can hear him or her, I don't know, cry very clearly. And we hear his parents talk and sing lullabies to calm him down. It's annoying, but it is what it is. For some reason, my boyfriend goes completely nuts about it. Every day, he goes on about how he hopes the baby will finally shut up, and how rude it is that the baby cries, and how he can't believe that the parents allow him to make noise like that. He ignores me when I try to tell him that it's just a baby, and that the parents are doing what they can. I mean, I'm sure they're a lot more annoyed than we are. Then, at night, if he's woken up by the baby crying, which happens almost every night, he'll wake me up and start complaining about it. I've also told him many times to get earplugs, or if it annoys him so much, we can stay at his apartment sometimes, but he always says that he doesn't want to give in, whatever that means. Things kind of exploded last night when he once again woke me up in the middle of the night and shouted that he couldn't stand this anymore. He was really angry. I've honestly never seen him like this. He kept saying that I had to deal with this and that he couldn't live like this. I told him to please calm down and he screamed that I had to go shut up the baby. I said that I didn't know what to do. It wouldn't change anything to bother the parents, and he stopped pacing, looked at me and just said that I obviously cared more about a random child than I did about him. I tried to tell him that no, I love him and want him to be happy, but he just grabbed his clothes and left, banging every door on his way out. I tried texting and calling him, but he doesn't answer me. I just don't know what to do. I love him so much, but I feel like he's going overboard. It's a baby. Should I go talk to the parents? I feel like that wouldn't help, but maybe it would calm him down. How do I talk to him about it? I just really need advice on how to deal with all of this. Please help me. Update. Basically, the day after I posted, my boyfriend texted me to say that he was expecting an apology from me. I thought about what you all said about not letting him into my place again, and about how I should be careful, and told him that I wanted to meet him in a coffee shop away from my apartment. He tried telling me that he would just come by my house, but I stood my ground and said no. I was going to meet him there. When we met, I started by listening to some advice I got. I asked him about why the crying baby was bothering him so much, as well as telling him about misophonia, ASD, OCD, and all the stuff I was told he might have. I could see that he was getting annoyed by my questions, so I was trying to be quick, but he was rolling his eyes and tapping his fingers. Once I was done, he just kind of went, "That's it? That's all you want to say?" I told him that I was just trying to understand because his behaviour about the baby wasn't coherent with who I thought he was, and he very rudely said that we had a bigger problem than a baby if I actually thought he was crazy like that. I said that I didn't think he was crazy, just that we have to figure out why he's reacting so intensely to a crying child. Because if there's no logical reason, it just means that he's incapable of handling himself like a grown-up. I told him that I didn't want that in my life, that I can't have a future with someone who refuses to deal with his issues, and that I was not there for him to treat me like crap. I was ranting and speaking really loudly, and he was just sitting there, staring at me with his mouth open like a fish. I've never spoken to anyone like that in my life. I think I just read so many comments telling me to grow a spine that I must have started to believe it myself. I felt really, really proud. I'm usually so bad when it comes to saying what I actually am thinking, and this time I did it. I waited for his response for a couple of seconds before asking him what he was thinking. He was breathing really deeply and was bright red, and he said really angrily that I wasn't who he thought I was if I could speak to him that way. He said that I was meant to love him for who he was and want him without trying to change him, and a bunch of other crap about how wrong it was for me to say things like that to him. At this point, I was done. I was already almost crying because that whole conversation was so hard for me, and his reaction just showed me that he didn't care about me and what I was telling him. I got up and told him that we were done, that I didn't want to speak or see him anymore. I think I also said that I deserved better. I left before he could react, which was very dramatic, but I just didn't want to hear him anymore. Since then, I know that he tried to call me, text me, and come by my place, but I told my roommates that I didn't want to see him, and they've been helpful. He came by 2 days ago again and banged on the door until my roommate's partner told him that we were going to call the police. That seemed to shut him up, to use his own words. It's been really hard. I know I should probably be dancing and thanking every available God that I got out of that relationship. But still, it was almost 10 months of my life with someone I thought loved me. I'll be fine, but it's still hard to suddenly be alone. In other news, I finally met the baby from the apartment below mine. He was really big, gorgeous brown eyes, and he smiled at me. His parents are nice. They let me high five him, and I swear I almost cried. I'm glad I didn't bother them. They seem like a happy family, and I'm sure they're doing their best. The baby was really cute too. I want to thank everyone who commented or messaged me, even the ones who were rough. I had all of your voices in my mind when I met with my now ex. I don't think I could have spoken to him if you hadn't told me that I deserved more. Thank you all. So that's the story today. This reminds me of a story I was reading the other day on Reddit, where their next door neighbour had recently had a baby, which spent 3 months in the hospital before they could bring it home. And the person had his mum living with him due to illness, and the mum kept getting woken up, and the baby's crying was really irritating her. And he felt like the parents of the baby weren't doing enough. They were letting him cry, in his words, for a whole 10 minutes straight. Everyone knows that babies are gonna cry. Sometimes you just can't do anything about it. It's obviously a sick baby that had to spend the first 3 months of its life in the hospital, and the neighbour was also moaning because usually he can park outside, but since they've been back from the hospital, because they have nurses and family coming over, there's no parking outside, so his mum has to walk up the road, which is really difficult. Apparently he come home from work one day and his mum was like, I've had it, this baby keeps crying. So he went next door, saw the mum just sitting at the bottom of the stairs. He knocked on the door and was like, you need to shut the baby up, or something along those lines, basically berated her for the child crying. And basically the woman just shut the door in his face. Everyone was just absolutely going at him in the comments, telling him how selfish that he was. And the first thing that popped into my head was the woman sitting on the bottom of the stairs. She's probably having like a breakdown as it is. Imagine having to hear that kind of screaming all the time. I think before she slammed the door in the guy's face, she said that her husband was at the pharmacy trying to get some medicine for the baby because he had colic or something wrong with him. But this story kind of reminded me of that, because screaming children for anyone is horrible. But imagine being in that house, and unfortunately it's something that we just have to deal with, because you can't stop a baby from crying. You can't tell it to stop crying. You just have to do what you can to try and stop it crying. and sometimes they just want to cry. But let me know your thoughts on today's story. What do you think about OP, how she handled it? Do you think that she could have done it any other way? Do you think that she done the right thing? Let me know in the comments below. And if you did like this video, consider subscribing to the channel and give this video a like, and hopefully you'll come back and join me on the next one.